The staff and some of the city council attended a Parks and Recreation conference in St. George in the early 90s. And at that conference, there was a display about outdoor Christmas lighting. You know, just as we were looking at the concept, we could say, hey, this is a great way to use the Canyon Park. We've got all of that open space. We've got, some roads built in there already for the parking lots. And it should be a fun activity. Everybody put their heads together with council staff and Carpenter Decorating and came up with the design in the park. Mayor Huff was concerned that we want to make sure it's family friendly. We want to make sure that the price is right so that people can afford to come, and that when they get there that it's really neat and fun for the kids. And through the years, that's really what it's evolved into.
It didn't even really come into something that I was involved with until we created the Special Events Division in 2007. And our Special Events Division consisted of Elaine Hanson, who was part-time, and Steve Money, who was full-time. And Steve was also working with the rodeo and the fairgrounds. By the time Elaine came on, we had gone to being involved with Distinctive Decorating, who is Greg Fouts out of Santaquin. He loved Festival of Lights, and he was a great creative force with it. And in fact, Greg just passed away this last July. So this is our first year kind of without his guidance and help. When Festival of Lights first started, the things were more static. I remember we had a Frosty the Snowman that waved, and it was just this one motion, and the swans kind of moved on the lake. But there wasn't a lot of movement, and as the events team got involved, then we started having a lot more structures that did things, that motion. And one of the first things we bought was the candy cane factory. Right when we started, we had a poinsettia arch that was over the entrance, and that thing is old, and it's been welded and put together, and it's not a very easy thing to get up, but we don't want to let go of it because it was the original arch that hung above the entrance.
You know, it was several months of setting up and tearing down, plus the display of that for a month and that. You know, that canyon wind up there, that's pretty cold up there setting up stuff. It was, we never did start early setting up the lights because we kind of let that wind die down and that, but we were dressed up in coveralls and everything and that, and carried that equipment out with. We were carrying everything by ourselves, you know, just out there on a little wagon. Old Doug Adams, he made this H-bar, and that made all the difference in the world because we could pull up to a fixture, unhook onto it, tilt it back with the tractor and going out, because they started getting bigger and bigger fixtures and everything, and we needed something like that. And so Doug had a lot of good ideas on helping saving that, you know, setting that up and saving our backs somewhat on it.
In the beginning, the people that were taking the money for the Festival of Lights entry stood by a burn barrel. They didn't have a shelter. They just stood out there. I mean, the fact that we were robbed because they were like right there.
You try to keep your 5s and 10s and 20s all together and that, but when you get cold, your hands don't work quite as good, that's for dang sure. And there's no way that you can put a booth up there and leave because of the traffic. And I says, I've never seen a car go in there just alone. And if it is, we'll have somebody walk around the driver's side and get the money. But you can take it from the passenger side. So me and Doug, we went to Tough Sheds and over there and bought a shed and fixed it up, and Doug cut a window in it, and that ticket booth was one of the best things that happened at the Festival of Lights for the workers, for sure.
Originally, you would come in Canyon View Park entrance and go down about halfway along the river, but then there was a road that cut straight across through the grass. And the bottom of the park wasn't even accessible by the road. And in 2011, we were starting to develop the trails through the city, and we used trail grants to work on the Spanish Fork River Trail. We thought we were getting pretty full, but after we did that, it opened up half again as much lawn that you could spread things out and fill things in. And we thought, oh, we have a lot more room to grow here now that we've done this. It's made it a really nice route.
I can tell you're not excited about it at all.
I love Festival of Lights.
One of the fun memories was one year we took our family through, and about halfway into it, we had Santa's house in the middle of the park, and lo and behold, there was Santa Claus in it. I think he might have been related to Mr. Money, but he was a real live Santa Claus.
I would sit there and just be still, and then somebody come by and take a picture, and I say, "Merry Christmas!" And boy, did they jump.
Maybe after year 15, 20, you start wondering whether people would not come back just because, well, we've seen it once. And Karen and Elaine and the others that helped change the design every year, there was something new every year. So by having new things every year, kept the people's interest in returning to see what was added that year.
We replaced a lot of light bulbs every year, and when it come to LED, oh geez, it just changed everything. And then the LED are so much brighter and clearer. You can put some of them in a fixture, and we did change some of the fixtures to LED and left the others, and then it would highlight it and that. But the LED changed the whole thing, and it changed our workload tremendous. And that it was the best thing that we ever had. Plus, the power that it saved, we could put more fixtures in certain areas because we had more power because of the LED. The LED was truly, truly a blessing. And I think it really brightened up and changed that whole atmosphere up there, for sure.
I thought the funnest one was the big tree that had thousands of pink lights in it. And then the swans on the lake, and also the serpent that was on the lake. Originally we had them right in the lake, but I think we moved them to the sides a little later.
I love the castle, and then a few years before I retired, we added a carriage so that, you had the princess throwing her hanky down to the prince, but now we have the carriage to be able to take her to the ball. And I love the nativity too. That's always been one of my favorite. And when we put that all in LED, it just kind of brought a new dimension to that. And then we added the angels in the trees. Those were a later addition, but I love the nativity too.
When I look at the leadership that we've had in Spanish Fork and the events that they have, you look from the recreation to the administration to the mayor and the council that we've had in the past, they give back to the citizens, like the Festival of Lights. That wasn't in there for the city to make money or nothing. It was just to get back to it. That, they can see the future, and they've did a terrific job.
I think, again, Festival of Lights brings families together. It's just a fun activity in the park that is well worth the wait to be able to go in and enjoy with your family.